Good afternoon, everybody. I'm standing just off a side street between St. Giles High Street and Charing Cross Road. I've just wandered in on this gorgeous light installation, and I thought it might be a nice place to do my little introduction to where we're visiting today. Today we're visiting a very, very short street, yet I don't think I have the time to get through the hundreds of years of history in this area. Follow me on a brilliant journey down one of the most famous streets in London. This is Denmark Street, notorious for its rock and roll history since the 1950s, the birthplace of publishing houses and the record industry and the music industry. It's where the Rolling Stones recorded their very first album. Some of the most famous music clubs in London where creators and copywriters and artists and music execs all congregated. Today I'm bringing you on a journey back to the 17th century because today it's all about serial killers, famous highwaymen, royalty, Sex Pistols, a bit of punk and rock and roll music. Join me for the incredible street known as Denmark Street. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very famous Denmark Street. Now I'm in the West End and it runs actually between Charing Cross Road and St. Giles Road. I forget that it's a public road. That poor guy didn't hoot the horn at me, thank God. So the street has a long history with rock stars, publishers, serial killers, inventors, nobility, Jacobites, criminals, anarchists, plague victims, and lepers. So originally on this site was a very famous leper hospital, ladies and gents, that had been opened up by Queen Matilda. And that was in the 12th century, and she was the wife of King Henry I. But it was early by the 12th century, that leper hospital gave way to residential properties that were built on the street. And it was named after Prince George of Denmark, who married Princess Anne in 1683. But by 1691, 20 of these stunning terraced houses were completed, 8 of which still remain to this day. So for the buildings between 1 and 3, now this was a government-run building. This building was run by the Works and Pensions Department for over 70 years. Now, one of the employees at this job centre has gone down in the annals of history as one of Britain's most notorious serial killers. And that was one Dennis Nielsen. Now, whilst he worked in this building in the 1980s, it is said that he murdered over 12 to 15 men in London and still employed in this agency during that time. One of the most bizarre and actual grim stories I've ever heard, and this story is not for the faint-hearted, folks, tells a story about one of the Christmas parties they were having in the office. Required them, they needed something large enough to make hot punch inside in a huge pot. So Nelson volunteered. He said he had just the thing at home, and he brought in a large cooking pot. Now, it was in this very pot in which the man who became known as the Muswell Hill murderer had boiled the body parts of young men who he had murdered. So that's some story for your office party, ladies and gentlemen, but the grim past and the grim history of the employment agency of Dennis Nielsen. Now we will move on to nicer things, but it's imperative to mention that because not only on this street as well, over 300 years ago, the famous highwayman Claude Duval was en route to being executed at the Tyburn gallows, and he stopped off here for a drink. And the amount of hysterical women that arrived to get a glimpse of the very handsome, dandy highwayman, fainting and screaming and crying. It's amazing the same effect took place nearly 300 years later when girls came here in their hundreds to surround the Rolling Stones, who recorded their very first album on this street. And that's going to bring us next to one of the most famous recording studios that used to be on the streets. Now it's one of the incredible guitar shops. This was the former Regent Sounds studio. Now, I'm hopefully going to go inside in just a moment, but Denmark Street was always the hub of the music industry, you guys. The volume of music being created, bought, and sold here in the early days was nothing short of remarkable. But on the street lived and breathed music. The publishing houses, for a period of time, had monopolized the sale and of music and the music industry. But when the likes of the Beatles started to write their own music, that kind of put them out of business, as it were, because people got a bit more confident about writing and performing and recording their own music. So this building, Regent Studios, was bought by one of the famous Barings. His name was James Baring, actually, of Baring Bank fame. But this chap was a multi-millionaire, and he bought Regent Sounds, and he was very familiar with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and he encouraged artists to record their own music inside this studio. So as a result, the likes of the Rolling Stones actually recorded their debut album, their first EP, and the majority of their second album here. After the huge success of this first album, of course, and you'll see the Rolling Stones lips just inside the Regent Sound Studio, several artists all arrived to record inside in this very building. I mean, it's incredible to think of the amount of incredible rock and roll stars that have recorded in here. They include Jimi Hendrix and The Experience, The Kinks, The Who, Elton John, Black Sabbath, and we'll be showing you where Elton John worked on the street very shortly as well. The Bee Gees, Slade, Tom Jones, Sandy Shaw, even the Eagles rehearsed here. And after the expansion, though, of music and recording studios, most people moved out of here and they headed towards the Trident Studios and Abbey Road and the Olympia Studios. But now it's an incredible guitar shop, and I'm hoping they'll let me film just a little bit inside there to show you inside. So I love that it's come full circle, because music is still played, as you can hear it in the background here, all day, every day. And it is the best place to come if you're on the market for a pretty specialized guitar. These guys can help you with anything you need along the way. So let's see if we can head inside. Look at the interior of this place, you guys. And immediately the gentleman said, absolutely no problem filming. It's always a pleasure to come into these incredible stores. Look at this, a haven for musicians and artists and rock stars. Absolutely sensational. But this is actually where they recorded, you guys, all these incredible artists. To think that the Rolling Stones and everyone just casually just walked in here. Now there's some amazing images of Chas Chandler and Jimi Hendrix inside here, as there is also of the Rolling Stones and Billy Haley outside the door. But Black Sabbath recorded 2 of their EPs here as well. But we're going to have a quick chat with the guy that works here, and he's amazing. He's going to give us all the history of the incredible Regent Sound Studios. And here's Dustin. Dustin's just going to tell us a little bit about the actual studios that were on the site at the time.
So this is number 4 Denmark Street. This was a very famous studio, Regent Sounds. I mean, the list is pretty long.
It's endless, isn't it?
Great artists. Everyone from Virulin through the Black Sabbath recorded here.
Excellent.
And yeah, it's hallowed ground. If you were, trying to make it in showbiz in that time, you would have come to Denmark Street, London's Tin Pan Alley, and at the heart of it was number 4, this studio.
My God, that's incredible.
So,
it's such an amazing place. And now, you're still playing music.
Yep.
It's come full circle. It's
Absolutely.
like every day, all day, every day.
Definitely.
This incredible guy here giving us a rendition. Thank you, guys. Right. You've been really accommodating. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting us enjoy a little piece of rock and roll.
You're welcome. You're
iconic history. Elegantly dressed gentleman, loving his purple hat. Just one other quick story I forgot to mention to you. Tom Jones actually recorded It's Not Unusual inside the Regent Sound Studio. He had to learn it en route in the car to the studios. It originally was written for Sandy Shaw, but she actually turned it down. She had no interest in the track, and it became one of Tom Jones's biggest tracks, ladies and gents, recorded also inside here. Now, you see this building here is number 5. Now, this was built between 1686 and 1689, and that was literally 1 year after James II came to the throne, until he was overthrown by his Protestant son-in-law, of course, William of Orange. But what I wanted to draw your attention to now, obviously we have the Wunjo, amazing electric guitar and bass store. But this chap up here is a chap called Augustus Sieb, and he was the pioneer of the diving helmet. He actually lived and worked here. well, he invented the diving helmet, and initially it was attached to a full diving suit. However, years later, he made it detachable, but it became the standard diving apparel, and it actually revolutionized underwater civil engineering, commercial, and naval diving. This was the birthplace, ladies and gents, of the music publication New Musical Express, and that was launched here on the 7th of March in 1952. The brainchild of Percy Dickens. He also set up the UK singles chart. So what he did initially was he rang 20 stores to find out what the biggest selling artist was at the time and biggest selling single, and he published them. But of course, in the US, Billboard had been doing that for many, many years. But yeah, the birthplace of NME, the New Musical Express. Now, these two incredible listed buildings, number 6 and number 7. Actually, number 6 is where Melody Maker, the music magazine, was launched here in 1926. But crucially, more importantly, between 6 and 7 is where Malcolm McLaren of the Sex Pistols took a lease on this prop building between 1975 and 1977. So the downstairs you see here was used as a recording studio, and the upstairs was where Steve Jones and Glenn Matlock lived at number 6 here. The building has been awarded Grade 2 listed status because they're two stunning 17th century properties that survived on the site. These beautiful buildings. But it's in this building also where Johnny Rotten's graffiti was unveiled. Upstairs, Johnny Rotten had some amazing graffiti up on the walls. Now, we can't get in to see it, unfortunately, which is a shame. I'd love to see it, but we will try and find some pictures. And it's become very important to punk fans from all over the world. And it's actually protected inside there now as well. In there, he depicted his bandmates, Steve Jones, Sid Vicious, Sid's girlfriend, Nancy. So incredible graffiti works, but now this amazing guitar shop underneath. Now, next door was the famous Tin Pan Alley Club, number 7, ladies and gents. I mean, could you imagine living on the street alongside the Sex Pistols? I mean, what a place and what a time to be alive. I definitely was born in the wrong era. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Now, the upstairs for a period of time as well, it's important to note, was rented then by a design company called Hypnosis, and I'll put the name of it up there, Hypnosis, and they designed album covers for artists such as Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, The Police, ELO, T-Rex, and Paul McCartney. Actually, their first ever cover was Pink Floyd's A Saucer Full of Secrets. So this club had a London gangster connection, actually. The first Tin Pan Alley Club in the 1990s was owned by Jimmy Frazier, and he was the nephew of the famous Mad Frankie Frazier, the criminal gang lord from the East End, who was a part of the Richardson's gang for a period of time, who were the notorious rivals or enemies of the Cray twins. Now, Mad Frankie Frazier and his nephew Jimmy were very much part of the Denmark scene in the 1990s. Mad Frankie Frazier, just to terrify you, was known as the dentist because of his preferred method of torture would be, removing people's teeth, ladies and gents. And famously became somewhat of a celebrity in this area. So many gangsters do. So that is Mad Frankie Frazier's club, Tin Pan Alley Club. But there's some amazing images from outside the front of that building, particularly of Billy Haley, Malcolm McLaren, and an iconic image of the Rolling Stones standing outside that club as well. So, I mean, there's so much on the street, it's insane. Now, right next door was number 8 then. And number 8, you guys, was home to Southern Music on the ground music studio. It was on the ground floor, and that's where Donovan recorded nearly 40 tracks inside there. He himself actually became close friends with the Rolling Stones guitarist Brian Jones, but he eventually went on, Donovan himself actually, to become one of the most successful singer-songwriters in the UK. And as I mentioned earlier on, he came to unveil this plaque that we'll see right next door in just a moment. But this was the famous Gioconda Club. Now, you cannot stress the importance of this club in the music history. So many artists This is where they came to network, and so many careers were born inside this terrific building. Now it's the Flatiron Steakhouse, but you'll notorious hangout of Mark Bolan, the Stones, Donovan, the Small Faces, Jimi Hendrix. It is said that David Bowie apparently lived inside there, and he recruited his first backing band in here, known as the Lower Third. And there's a store on the street actually named the Lower Third as well. Eric Clapton regularly hung out. Sorry about that crazy noise there, but that's London noise in the background, my lovelies. But we haven't even, that's just one side of the street. It's up here at number 20s I want to bring you next, was Mills Music. And that's famously where Elton John worked. And he had come here to make contacts and to launch his career in the music industry. Okay, so this is number 20. I had walked straight past it, you guys, and this is famously where Elton John began working here in 1963. And he used to pick up sheet music for brass bands, and he delivered them there to post offices in Shaftesbury Avenue. It became his stepping stone to the music industry, and this is where he made his contacts and networked all along Denmark Street. But it's also rumoured on the roof here that Bernie Taupin was supposed to be waiting for Elton John one day on the roof, waiting for him to finish up work. And that is where he got the inspiration for the lyrics. I sat on the roof and kicked off the moss. Of course, the beginning of the amazing song, Your Song. Now, that has been disputed over the last few years, but we never let the truth get in the way of a good story around here, my lovelies. But I like the idea of that. Now, number 22 is a shadow of its former self. This is used to be road music, and it's where the likes of Beck and Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton and Pete Townsend all bought guitars in there. And the next one is Pan Street Studios. And this is number 23, formerly Pan Sound Studios. This was used by The Who in 1978, and they recorded in here, but it was also a place called the Forbidden Planet, and that was a comic book and science fiction store. And apparently Douglas Adams was arriving one day to a signing of his famous novel, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And when he showed up, he saw a massive crowd of people all down here, and he thought that there was some demonstration happening, but much to his own amusement, they were all waiting for him to meet him inside the studios here. So showing you some of the most famous stores on the street. I just want to pop into a few more of these guitar stores to show you the atmosphere in there and hope that they won't mind us filming in there. So let's check it out, my lovelies. Particularly this one where NME was founded. Let's have a quick look inside. Oh, it's just insanely beautiful in here. Look at this.
I think the one up because you never know what this sounds like.
Look at this. Another incredible guitar store, you guys. This is for you. This one is huge. Incredible place. So I'm going to sign out, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed that little rock and roll history tour. Sinead signing out here in London on a very cool and very famous Denmark Street. Until next time.